My 12-year-old boy carried his unconscious little sister to the emergency room at 3 a.m. When doctors examined her and asked what happened, his confession made the entire ER go silent. The nurse called me. I returned immediately from the business trip. When I arrived at our home, I discovered the scary incident that shook the whole town. Ross Parker stood in the shell of the 1920s theater, running his hand along exposed brick that had witnessed a century of stories. At 42, he'd built his reputation restoring forgotten buildings, finding beauty in ruins, structure in chaos. His firm, Parker Restoration, had transformed abandoned warehouses into loft apartments, decrepit libraries into boutique hotels. He understood that solid foundations could withstand almost anything, if only he'd examined his own more carefully. "Dad's going to miss my recital again," 12-year-old Brian had said that morning. His voice carrying that particular flatness Ross had started noticing lately. Not anger, just resignation. "It's 3 days, bud. I'll be back Friday night." "Plenty of time for Saturday's game," Ross had replied, ruffling his son's dark hair. Brian had inherited his build. Tall for his age, broad-shouldered with those same gray-blue eyes that his wife Nicole always said could see through walls. Nicole, his wife of 14 years, stood in the kitchen doorway, beautiful as ever at 38, her auburn hair catching morning light. But something in her smile seemed practiced lately, like she was performing the role of devoted wife rather than being one. Ross pushed the thought aside. The theater project was demanding. He was probably projecting his stress onto her. "Call me when you land," Nicole had said, her green eyes not quite meeting his. She was dressed for the gym in designer athletic wear. That cost more than it should. And Ross, maybe we should talk when you get back about us." The words had hung in the air like smoke. Before Ross could respond, 8-year-old Caroline had burst into the room, her blonde curls bouncing, gap-toed smile wide. "Daddy, you promised to help me build my diorama." Ross had swept her into his arms, inhaling the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "When I get back, princess, I promise." "Brian will help you until then, won't you, son?" Brian had nodded, but Ross caught something in his expression, a flicker of worry, maybe fear. It vanished so quickly, Ross convinced himself he'd imagined it. Now 3 days later and 200 meters away in Cincinnati, Ross stood in that gutted theater and felt the first tremor of his world collapsing. His phone buzzed, a number he didn't recognize. "Mr. Parker, this is Memorial Children's Hospital. Your son Brian brought your daughter Caroline to our emergency room. You need to come immediately." The architectural plans, scattered from Ross's hands like leaves. Earlier that night, 2:47 a.m., Brian Parker wasn't supposed to be awake. He'd been trying to sleep when he heard it. His mother's voice, sharp and frightened, coming from downstairs. Then a man's voice, deep,